Hey guys, all right, this is a little bit different. We are in Las Vegas. We're out in front of the Woodcraft store. We're going to be here today and Saturday and Sunday. Today is Friday. You're going to see this probably 2 or 3 Fridays from now, but we're hopefully going to be here again, and hopefully maybe more Woodcraft stores, so stay tuned for that. But we wanted to answer a couple questions. We couldn't get on the water today. We brought our kayaks, but there was no water. I don't know. Anyway, so we wanted to answer a couple questions, so I'll do mine, then Ryan will do his. So I have a question from Sean. It says, there are times, big old truck across the street. So it says, there are times when using the profile bit, the edges of the letters will sort of feather up rather than give a crisp, sharp edge. I've tried looking up your videos and even searching online for answers, but I can't seem to find an answer. Do you know why these edges of the letters sometimes do this? Yes, I do, Sean. So, first things first, make sure that your material is dry, that you don't have wet wood, because wet wood kind of will do that. Sometimes even if it's too dry, depending on the board, it will do that. Sometimes it can be a perfect board and carve great, be dry, but still do that. And there's a lot of different reasons for it, but in most cases, it could be your router bit. Make sure your router bit is sharp. There's a lot of different factors, but generally speaking, it will be the board if your router bit is sharp. So, if you know your router bit's sharp, and if the board is dry, if it's cutting okay, then here's the bottom line. It doesn't really matter. The only way it really matters is if that burring or that feathering on the surface affects your router base sliding on there. If that's a problem, then it's a problem. But if that isn't the problem, I don't care whether it burrs up. I've had many signs, many boards that did that. I don't even care as long as it doesn't affect my base sliding on there. It really doesn't matter, because think about it. All of my signs, generally, I'm going to sand them off anyway. That's all going to be gone. It's just not going to be there. So once you carve it, you spray it or color it, however you're going to do, you're going to sand off the surface. All of that burring, that feathering, all of that stuff's going to be gone. So it becomes a non-issue for me. I just don't worry about it at all. The only way I worry about it is if it's bothering that base from sliding smooth, or if the board doesn't cut. And if the board doesn't cut right, then that's something to do with moisture content, or it's just a bad board, or it's chippy, or whatever. So I've had many boards, cedar, pine, redwood, that did that, and my bit was super sharp, and it just did that. That was just a consequence of a board wanting to feather like that. And that's the only thing that's predictable about working with wood, is it's unpredictable. So, unpredictable.
There you go.
I tried to say that too fast.
Also, one thing that I do is taking that stiff bristle brush.
Yeah.
Because after you carve, you don't want to spray with those burrs in there, because then that'll block the spray, right?
Yeah.
So I just brush the crap out of it.
Yeah, yeah. Always brush. I always want to use a stiff bristle brush, and you can do that as you're going along. Carve a little bit and then brush it. So a good stiff bristle brush is your friend. Did I say that right?
I think so.
Dang. Anyway, I'm excited. We're out here. It's beautiful weather, and we're just having a blast. Meeting a lot of people that are coming by. Meeting a lot of new people, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So. Anyway, stay tuned, because we may be coming to a Woodcraft near you. I hope so. Or some location near you. So now we're going to switch. Ryan's going to come over here and answer his question. So if you guys have questions on that, let me know. But hang on, and here comes Ryan.
All right, guys. So one of the questions we get on a pretty regular basis is basically, how do you carve straighter lines? How do you keep your lines straight while you're carving, right? Well, there's a lot of different tips you can do, but number one is that when you're carving a long straight line, like if you're doing a border, if you're to do a border around this and try to have a 1/2-inch border, those are kind of difficult because the longer, straighter lines are a little bit harder. But one really good tip is when you first start your border or whatever you're doing, if you start shallow, just start shallow so you can follow your line on there, right? So I think right now I'm at what, maybe a 16th. I'm really, really shallow. Yeah. So I'm just going to carve a straight line down here. I don't even know if you can move that thing, Deb. I'm just going to carve a straight line, okay? When you're running shallow, it makes it a little bit easier because you're not taking as much wood away, obviously. So if you look right here, this is, what was that, Dad? That was like 3/16 or a quarter.
Yeah, about 3/16.
This is about a 16th. It's really shallow, but it's fairly easy to get a straight line when you're doing that. So once you get your lines carved shallow, then you can always go back and drop it down to whatever you want, 3/16, a quarter of an inch, and it gives you a groove to follow, and you're not taking out as much wood. So we'll do that real quick. So you can see it's quite a bit deeper now. So if you go your first pass, go nice and shallow, especially if you have a grainier board or a hardwood or something like that. If you go your first pass shallow and then go back around and lower your depth as you go, it really helps, okay? Now, another thing, and we've said this multiple times, is you want to keep as much of your base or your arms on the base as you can, which is one of the reasons that these our base plates work so well. I'm just gonna do that. If your arms are up on the table and you're trying to do this just using your hands, it makes it really hard, right? So we try to keep our forearms on the table, and even using our hands on the edge of the base and just moving a little bit at a time, okay? You want to keep as much, I use it like gripping a gun, as much flesh on the grip as you can will give you more control, essentially. So those are just a couple of tips to try to get your line straighter. And don't forget, the best tip is to slow down. Don't be in a huge hurry. The faster you go, generally speaking, the
more chance for mistakes.
More chance for mistakes. That's what that's a nice way to put it, yeah. Because I find myself getting in a hurry, especially if I have multiple orders to do. I get in a hurry, and then I ask my wife how they look, and she tells me the truth, then I redo them. So take your time, slow down, get as much flesh as you can on your base as you're moving the router, and start shallow. So those are a few tips, guys. I hope it helps. As always, if you have any questions, you can email Dad, Eric@makeawoodsign.com, or you can email me, Ryan with DaveSigns@gmail.com, and send us your questions. We're always happy to help. So, you guys have an awesome weekend, and we will see you on Monday.